Hello, how are you today? My name is Shannon and this is my YouTube channel, Whisky and Wool. Knitters Live Series Season 6, Episode 3, I think it's 3. How are you? I hope you're okay. It's rough out there. It's exhausting. Yeah, coming to you from northern New Jersey, right across the Hudson River from New York City, so the New York metro area. We had a really big snowstorm a couple weeks ago, and there's still so much snow here. It's super unusual for the area that I live in to have snow that lingers. We get snowy days, and it might linger a couple days, but this has been on the ground for 2 weeks, and it is really something. It's very frustrating to park. It's fine to drive. They clear the roads immediately, like as immediately as they can, but like within 12 hours of the snow stopping, usually the roads are pretty good, but the sidewalks, Anyway, I want to talk to you about knitting and spinning, not about the other stuff, other life's annoyances and complications. Although at the end I may touch on a couple things that have been on my mind. So we'll see how it goes. I am wearing an old finish. This is the Busan by, I think it's just called Busan, by Aegyo knits. I knitted out a handspun, which is why you're seeing sort of this striping effect. And you hold a strand of wool with a strand of silk mohair, and so for this I held white silk mohair. It's one of my silk mohair sweaters, which I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I'm kind of done doing these sweaters, only because they're really warm and there's not a lot of time in the year to wear sweaters that are this insulating. But the last couple weeks, definitely. So they've been in my 4 sweaters that have mohair, and have been in rotation. Speaking of my sweaters, I'm at the point where I need to do a clean out. I don't know about you, but so I guess knitters kind of fall into 2 camps. One is where knitters are like, I have too many sweaters, I'm going to slow down, or I'm going to stop knitting, or I'm going to knit less. Or you fall into the camp of, I'm going to keep on knitting, I'm just going to find other people for these hand knits. So I'm in the second camp where I'm ready to do a closet clean out and give away sweaters that I have that I'm not wearing anymore. So I do need to, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do it anytime soon. I'm going to do it after winter season is pretty much done. But yeah, that's on my horizon because as I have been finishing sweaters, finding room for them in my sweater storage. I think I have some containers, because I keep all my sweaters in small plastic containers, like the sealed weather tight containers, because I had a moth issue, which I've mentioned many times, a few years ago, and it was devastating. So I have since then stored all my finishes in these airtight, weather tight plastic containers. So I think I have some that are kind of out of reach, up on a high shelf. They're kind of empty, so I want to pull those down because I don't even know I haven't looked in those for at least 2 winters, so there's that. So we'll see. I'll talk to you more about the clean out and how it goes, perhaps down the road when it happens, but I am finding that I have quite a few, sorry, I noticed my camera's a little crooked. That I have quite a few sweaters that I just am not getting to because they're packed away. I'll get to them. Yeah, how are you? I hope you're doing okay. I know there's a lot of areas in the country, in the US, that are suffering, communities that are feeling devastated, and et cetera, et cetera. So, which brings me to actually one of my finishes. So I cast on the Melt the Ice hat about 10 days ago and finished it fairly quickly. This was a paid for pattern that was all proceeds went to and probably still are going to charity agencies in the Minneapolis, Minnesota region. When I last checked, they'd gotten pretty close to 300,000 that they've raised just in pattern sales and other donations to the shop, to the yarn shop. It was a local yarn shop. It is a local yarn shop in Minneapolis that is conducting the fundraiser. So I bought the pattern and knit the hat. I did some modifications from their pattern. They did, I think, around 6 inches of rib, and I decided to end the rib after 3 inches for a nice fold over, and then I continued to knit for a total of 9 before I did the decreases, and then I did the decreases every other round instead of every round as the pattern's written. And then you finish off with a braid, a knotted braid. I used Lana Plantae Lincoln long wool. It's a really hard wearing wool. It's great for outer garments, so it's actually pretty good for hats. And it's a little rustic. It's very rustic. But on the head, I don't feel it. It doesn't feel itchy to me when I'm wearing it. As other folks, if you're more sensitive, you might you might experience it that way. And the way you wear it is so that this flops over like that, or you can wear it so it's in the back. I was wearing it like this when I have been wearing it. What else can I tell you? The pattern is based on a Norwegian hat that was popular in the probably for a long time, but it's notable for the 1940s when it was known as a protest hat against Nazi occupation of Norway. And if you don't know the US very well, Minnesota is where a lot of Scandinavians went when they immigrated here. My own family went there when they immigrated here. I'm Danish descent, not Norwegian, but my own family, my Danish great-grandparents were sponsored by a Norwegian family, and so they went to that region, and they ultimately ended up just across the border in Wisconsin. And my father was born there, and et cetera, et cetera. And my family, not to get into ancestor stuff, but my family moved around a lot. They were adventurers. I mean, if you were Danish in the 1800s and you left Denmark, you wanted an adventure because there was nothing, it was very, I mean, I don't know a lot of Danish history, but like not very many Danes leave Denmark because it's such a lovely place to live. So my great-grandfather, I guess, wanted an adventure, so he moved quite a bit. And ultimately my parents met on the West Coast in California, so that's where they ended up. But yeah, that's a lot of little history that goes into the hat, like personal history for me, as well as some historic stuff. So there's a lot of info out there about it. There are certainly thousands and thousands of project pages now for this hat. I was really happy to feel like I was doing something. Like I of course I could donate. I've been donating to charities, but also to make something that was symbolic felt really good, feels really good. I still have more yarn. That skein was massive. I think it was 250 grams, and I didn't even use half. So I think I have enough to probably do a little, slightly less than half. I think I have enough to do like a child size and another adult size. So I may be working on those in the coming weeks and donating those, because a lot of people are donating their hats. So yeah, that is that finish. And yeah, you're all smart people, so I don't need to tell you about what's happening here, but I will tell you if you're exhausted and overwhelmed at times. I'm with you. I know. Me too. So moving on, I do have another finished object that I do not have here. I finished my Gossamer. I took a little bit of footage just to show you. I put it on my couch and filmed it. It is a massive, massive shawl. It's a pattern by Stephen West that is 8 colors, and it's meant to be knit out of, it's part of his glow hair line. Like, it was a pattern, a mystery pattern. There's a new mystery pattern this year. Actually, I don't think the Gossamer was mystery. This year's is a mystery, though. He does this glow along, it's called. So I participated. I went stash diving like I always do when a Stephen West shawl pattern comes out, because I was just like, oh, I gotta have stash for this. So I went stash diving and found that I had 7 shades of pink, and I needed an 8th shade, and I had purchased that at Vogue Knitting Live in 2025. I purchased my 8th color. I took a little swatch card with the 7 that I had on hand, and ended up purchasing some yarn there for my 8th color. And so it was a real slog. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was a slog. It took me a year to finish it. I worked on it all through the glow along. I was having a lot of doubts about how big it was, because Stephen is he's a big guy. He's tall, and he's large in stature. So when he's holding it, it doesn't look so big. But for people that are smaller than him, it's pretty big. So I ended up using a combo of Siri silk and cashmere silk, and I think I had a cashmere-merino yarn in there, brushed cashmere-merino. All the yarn information is down in the description box, as well as you can find all the info on my project page, including the amount of yards. I think I used almost 4,000 yards to knit it, because you hold 2 strands together throughout the pattern. So it was really, really a big stash eater. So I was happy about that. I gifted it to my future daughter-in-law. One of my sons is partnered but not married, but they're getting married later this year. So her birthday was a couple weeks ago, so I gifted it to her. I think I've spoken about this before. She has some health issues, and she often has days where she is just hunkered down on her couch or laying in bed with a heating pad and just like trying to help herself feel better. So I just thought that she'd really appreciate this comfy personal blanket. Because let's be honest, it's huge. It's really huge. Maybe she'll use it as a shawl. I don't know. She's probably that type who would wear it out of the house, and she loves pink, so it's perfect. I didn't set out making it for her, but as the end of the year was coming and it was still sitting unfinished, I realized that it would really make a great gift for her. So I gave myself the goal to finish it by her birthday, and I made it. So anyway, that's my second finish, and only finish. Everything else is going to be whips from here on in. So let's talk about whips. I am still working away on the Harvest Flower shawl, sweater. Harvest Flower sweater by Jessie Made Designs. So I have finished the body and one sleeve, and I am working on the second sleeve, so I'm very close. This is US size 8 needles on using a DK worsted weight yarn, and it just is going super fast. I always find second sleeve knitting faster than first sleeve knitting, because first sleeve knitting I'm doing a lot of like stopping and seeing if it's long enough and all of that. So yeah, I have struggled with this pattern a bit, only because it's made for this the sloped shoulder crowd, not for the square shouldered crowd, and I am a square shouldered person. So I've really struggled with the fit, basically right along here where the lower part of the flower is. I needed more increases before we got here for a good fit for me. So this is, you can actually kind of see what I'm talking about, I think, if I hold it up without stretching the shoulders out. So you can see how it's really got more of a sloping shoulder line than a square. I need rapid increases all through this in this first couple inches, or I have to wear a really oversized sweater like the one I have on for things to fit me well across this area here. And yeah, so if I were to make this again, I would definitely modify for more increases sooner, so that I could have the width I need up in this section right here. I did a couple mods. I changed the center of the flower to a bird's eye pattern to echo the bird's eye here. I saw someone else do it online, and I liked what the effect. So she had knitted before, like ahead of me. She was ahead of me on the pattern. The other modification I did was I changed the shape of these leaves. I extended them because there was a negative space here that looked like a phallus shape, so I didn't really want that in the negative shape. One of my viewers pointed it out to me when I first cast it on, and I'm so grateful because I didn't see it right away, but I would have eventually seen it, and it really would have bugged me. Probably would have been duplicate stitching those stitches in place. And yeah, so I just extended the leaves to create more of like this arrowhead repeat in the negative space. And what else can I tell you mod wise? I don't think I modded anything. Oh, I ended the color work, or I didn't end it. I split for the sleeves before the last 1.5 inches of color work because my yoke depth was reaching the realms of where it is just too long for me. I don't like a really long yoke on my sweaters, so I don't want it to drag down. Like this one's pretty draggy. I don't like it to drag down my armpits way up here. So this is pretty big. I don't enjoy this sort of. This is fine on this sweater, but yeah, I don't want all my sweaters like that. So yeah, so I split for the sleeves sooner and then ended up knitting the color work on the sleeves afterwards. And I have blocked the yoke, so I blocked the yoke before the sleeves were started, or the body was really, there wasn't much of the body, because I was concerned about fit, because I could see this area here was just slopey, shoulder slopey. So I blocked it to make sure it was going to fit, otherwise I was going to frog it. And yeah, it fits fine. It's not, I wish it was a little less snug right here. Like, it's funny, it's this area right here that feels the tightest. But the sleeve, I knit a pretty, so you can actually see it. You see that? See that bend right here? See that bend? That's the problem area. The sleeve anyway is loose enough that it allows for me to pick my arm up without like pulling the whole body of the sweater up. All these things that you don't really think about too much. So yeah, ultimately I think I'll be happy with the results of this sweater, and yeah, I'm excited to get it done so that I can wear it before it gets too warm. No worry about that though. It won't be too warm. It's not so-called too warm for quite some time. I think we have a couple more months of very cold weather, and our spring here is pretty blustery and cold, so I wear sweaters right up until around June or so. I have another whip that this was my last Cast On With Me episode. This is the Pines Pullover by Monica Christine, I think is her name. If not, if I got that wrong, it will be corrected on screen. So I am modifying this quite a bit too. I am knitting it bottom up. Hold on, I was just trying to get it into a good spot where I could show you. I'm knitting it bottom up. The pattern is actually top down. So there you go. Oh wow, the yarn is really showing stripiness, some like more variegated than it looks in person. That's interesting on camera. So on camera it's coming out, you could see those very definite like stripes, those diagonal pooling stripes. Interesting. You don't see it in person. It looks like one color. This is indigo dyed yarn by Tammy White of Wing and a Prayer Farm. It is her Taconic Twist, which is a Wensleydale mohair, a couple other things, Cotswold maybe, blend. Mohair, Wensleydale, Teeswater, and Cotswold blend. It's called, there you go, Taconic Twist. She says it's sport weight, but it's really more like a DK, I think. You'll often find that with farm yarns, that what they say the weight isn't always what the weight is compared to. It's not a comparable weight to commercial yarn. So am I still on my first skein? I think I'm still on my first skein. Yes, I'm still on my first skein. So it's getting there. It's this lovely pattern with like these variegated cables, which I'm not stopped in a good spot for you to see this. Let me turn it around so you can see the other side. They're exactly the same. The back and front have this like panel of cables that travel up the front. I decided to do bottom up because I wasn't quite getting gauged. The pattern's actually written, I think, for Aran weight yarn, and although I could modify the size I was making to get a sweater that would fit me, I decided to just go with I talked all about this in my Cast On With Me. So if you want more detail, I'm going to briefly thimble cup full of information here where there's a really good size bowl full over there. So I'm using a pattern called Ward as a guide for the spec, for the stitch count, and not the spec. Well, yes, the spec too, because I knit that sweater a while ago. I love the fit. I absolutely love the fit of it. It's a drop shoulder, just like this pattern is a drop shoulder. And in looking at the pattern directions for this pattern, the directions looked a little complex to me for the shoulder shaping and stuff, so I just decided I was going to do a pattern that I'd already knit that I knew worked, rather than go on an adventure with a new designer's take on how that should happen. And it just so happened that my gauge from the Ward and my gauge with this yarn were exactly the same, so I knew that I could just go right over to that pattern, use that as a guide, and just insert the cables chart from this pattern. So that's what I've done. So far so good. I will say this yarn, it's really pretty, but in being naturally dyed, indigo dyed, and even now as I'm handling it, it does make my fingers like gray colored, bluish gray. It washes right off, but it's the oils in your hands interacting with the dyes. I've caked all this yarn. Otherwise, I probably would wash it before I, continued knitting with the next skein. I may end up re-skeining it, like putting it back in a hank on my yarn winder, just because, or what is it called? That thing, the thing that rotates, I may end up putting it back so that I can wash it, because it is really freaking annoying. To have it be, I dropped a stitch, to have it bleed so much onto my hands, and it doesn't bleed off into anything else. it's called crocking when it does that, or cracking. We used to call it cracking in the industry, but I think the technical term is actually crocking. Where you could like take a piece of fabric or knit and just rub it. If I rub this on something white, would the color come off? So that would be dry crocking. You often get wet crocking, where once it gets wet, it bleeds. And then you can get this other type of crocking where when it interacts with the oils in your skin, it bleeds. So that's where I'm at. I've knit with indigo dyed yarn before and had this problem before. And it does tend to go away when you wash it. Like it just needs to get that last bit of dye out of the yarn. So that's not fun. Definitely will give me pause before I buy more indigo dyed, naturally dyed indigo yarn again. Yeah. But I mean, I think I'm gonna like the sweater. Is it a good color for me? I don't even know. Is this a little too muted? It might be a little too muted. Interesting. I was thinking about colors. I've been thinking about colors a lot, and I've actually talked a lot about colors in the last Knitter's Life, I think, or maybe 2 Knitter's Lives ago. I mentioned it. I mentioned colors that I like and don't like, and my viewers have chimed in on colors that they liked on me, which I thought was pretty interesting. Some people reached out to me directly instead of writing a comment about colors that they think are good on me. I actually know the color that's best on me. I'm going to show you some yarn that I purchased that is in the wheelhouse of the colors that are best on me, look best on me. But yeah, there was a lot of, like, I made that my recent finish, the vintage flannel, that is a pretty much a royal blue, like a real true, like, sort of reddish blue. Everyone loves that on me, and that's a color that I've been told my whole life looks good on me. So yeah. My father loved blue on me and my sisters. Me and my sisters all have the same coloring, pretty much. So he just loved blue. I think he just loved blue. Anyway, another whip. This is a new pair of Drea Renee knits Bear Paw / DRK everyday sock. I do something kind of in between. I use a 2.5 millimeter needle, not a 325 as she does on the Bear Paw, but I'm knitting with the equivalent of DK. So in this case, I'm knitting with a fingering weight yarn that I'm holding 2 strands together. It's a fingering weight yarn from White Barn Farms. And it's been in my stash for some time. It's the colorway Boysenberry Stripe. And it is her Ramble base. Oh my god. There you go. Boysenberry Stripe. White Barn Sheep and Wool Company. I purchased this in at Vogue, actually, probably in 2020. Because I think it was the last Vogue. And I was just getting into sock knitting then. And I didn't know that I liked DK in particular for socks at that point, so I bought some fingering weight, and this yarn is meant to microstripe, which you can kind of see. Even though I'm holding 2 strands together, you can see that there are some striping that's happening here. Cute, right? It will marl too. I made another pair using like a turquoise color of the same yarn. That was my last socks that I made. Going back to the color talk, I did talk about how I've realized that purple is a color that does not look good on me and I need to avoid. And I had bought quite a lot of purple. I pretty much have gotten rid of most of it, destashed it, and or knit it and given it away. But purple does look amazing on one of my daughter-in-laws and one of my sons in particular. I think any of the kids could wear them, like my sons or their partners could wear purple, but 2 in particular purples just look amazing on them. So these are actually for one of my daughter-in-laws. She's the one that you may remember I mentioned she's wearing out her socks. I had knit her I've knit her mini socks, and she was telling me that her favorite pair have been worn, she wore a hole through them, and she asked me if she had done something wrong, and I was like, no, it just happens. Like, don't be precious about it. I'll make you more. Like, I have plenty of yarn. So these are for her. So I didn't go back on I like to look at purple. It just does not like to look at me. Yeah, anyway. So that's all my knitting. So let me talk to you about, let me do spinning. I didn't buy anything at Vogue. And I'll talk to you about that. Now let me finish up with my projects. I have a spinning project that I finished. I have some clips of my process that I'm going to put in here so you could see what it was I did. I thought I'd talk to you for a few minutes about my next hand spin. I have this fiber here. This is 100% organic Polworth by Phoenix Fiber Company. I got this in a D-stash. I didn't pay that. I don't remember what I paid. It was really affordable. And then I also have this. I've just divided them both in two. This pink one is Three Water Farm Top of the Month Club from a club gone by. I also purchased in a D-stash, but this is Polworth as well. And I think I'm going to do a combo spin. They both have a significant amount of brown in them. I'm going to try not to, and this one has a lot of white. This has some white and pink, and then also this like murky green color. I'm hoping it won't just come out a murky mess. This has some gold in it and some of the murky green as well. So other than like this one has pinks and some purple, and this has blues, they're similar, and they're both Polworth. So my intention is going to be to combo draft these, meaning I'm going to be holding a tuft of both of each in my hand, and I'll be drafting a little bit from both as I go. So it should be a really nice kind of confetti vibe. I am going to do a 3-ply, traditional 3-ply. I really hate chain plying. I know people who love it and stand by it and do it all the time, but chain plying and me, really, I just don't enjoy doing it. I can do it well enough if it's a short amount, but this is going to end up being, with this being 8 ounces, this will be 2 pretty big skeins, 2 4-ounce skeins, unless I mess up something majorly. So yeah, it's going to be 6 bobbins total. So I'm going to divide the fleece further. Right now this is 4. Yeah, so I will divide them more so that I do 3 bobbins. So half of these are more or less half, but I'm going to like divide it each so that I have 3 portions of each of them, and then, right? Is that right? Or am I doing 6? Whatever. I'll figure it out. Hopefully I explained well that I did a combo spin. So now I can show you the finished skeins. So I got 2 skeins because it was 2 100 or 4-ounce braids. Talk about purple. A lot more purple in here than I thought. Like looking at that, those skeins, and there's also some olive in there, which is my least favorite color. I really thought these were going to be like chocolate with bits of pink and blue and maybe some gold, but after maybe they are. After I washed them and skeined them up, I was like, they're a lot of purple. But I do think this is yarn that will stripe the way similar to the one that I'm wearing would, but there is a big chunk of pink in there, and there are some this like gray colors, actually like a very light baby blue, and there's some bits of gold. I have no plans for this yarn, as often happens with my handspun. I have just been really loving spinning the past few years. Like, I think I've reached the point where I think I would prefer to spin than knit, although I do have a limit in terms of how long. Like, I could knit for hours and hours. Sit in my apartment or somewhere, or hang out with friends on, a day and just like work away on something and be very, very content. But the same with spinning, it just brings me so much joy. Like, I really, really love doing it. And it's reached the point where it's very meditative. Now you see the pink and blue and the brown. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I thought I was going to get right there. And I guess I did. There's just some other surprises in there. And anyway, I think like I could give up knitting. If I had to choose, I would choose spinning. I guess is the way to. I don't want to give up knitting, which is why I'm gonna destash a bunch of my sweaters, my finished sweaters, to make room for more, so that I can continue making things. I'll rehome them to really good homes. I have a lot of family that welcomes some sweaters and things, new sweaters. So those will be sent out to a good home. Yeah, so that was my spinning. So I am currently spinning. I'm almost done with another skein, one of my Melly bats, my Melly knit bats. That oh my god, it's so luxurious. But I'll show you that next time. Because it's a cashmere blend. Oh, it's so pretty. I just didn't expect the halo. It only has 10% cashmere, but wow, the halo. Okay, so I went to Vogue and came home with a lot of yarn that my friend Lorian of Knitting Monologues had purchased for me at a couple festivals that I wasn't able to go to. No, at one festival, at Rhinebeck. I didn't go to Rhinebeck, so she picked up some stuff for me at Rhinebeck, but she'd also gone to Reniger Yarn Co. She met Ginny, who owns Reniger Yarn, and picked up yarn from Ginny for me too, for a specific sweater that may be cast on soon. I don't want to give anything away or commit. I don't want to commit to that sweater right now. But anyway, I got some beautiful natural Reniger wool, and if you're not familiar with Reniger, she has a merino sheep farm in Pennsylvania, and the wool is so luxuriously soft. It's just like wow. The hand is amazing, and I made the Inga sweater solo sweater, or MP sweater solo, Inga sweater solo, that I think I wore that. Did I wear it in my cast on with me? I might have worn it in my cast on with me. That's made out of Reniger. Really, really squishy, soft yarn, and it seems to be wearing really well. I'm really happy with it. So, anyway, I got that. I'm going to talk to you about those projects. Like, it was just a little bit of yarn that I needed for a couple projects that I am hoping to cast on this year. So I'll get into that then, when I'm ready to do that. And then I went to Vogue. I think I mentioned this last time in my last episode. I went to Vogue with the intention of buying like a peachy pink wool. I did not find it there, so I ended up not buying anything. And just to tell you my nutshell Vogue Knitting Live experience, I want to be authentic, but I don't want to be disingenuous, but I also want to be sensitive to, like, other people might have had different experiences. So this is my experience. I went Friday night. This is my usual time that I go. I almost always go Friday night. I really like in the late 20 teens, like 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, going Friday night was a boon, because you would find, like, to go to the marketplace, it's only open 3 hours, but it was lower traffic than, say, Saturday. So often I would go Friday to do some shopping, and then I would go back Saturday for the social events, like to meet other knitters and to do some of the, participate in some of the things, classes and stuff like that. The classes remain as they always have been, like really awesome teachers and, you know, good techniques. Like, well, I never pay close enough attention to when they're launching them, though, to get into classes that I want to take. I do always look, and I have never been able to get into a class that I really, really want, because I'm just haven't keyed in. It's a weird time usually, like it's around the holidays that the classes get launched, fall time, when I'm just like busy with other stuff, so I just never think about it until it's too late and all the classes are filled. So I didn't do any classes. I had some friends that were taking classes. I've gone to some of the lectures in the past. The lectures are really great, but to get to this year, since the pandemic, the marketplace has been quite different. So what I noticed, and I talked about this in the past, that and I didn't take any footage either, because I was just like enjoying the company of friends, and I don't know, I wasn't feeling it, and I wasn't excited to be there for the yarn necessarily, as I was excited to be there to see friends. So I just decided not to film anything. Other people have filmed it though, like I was watching Jen, I think her last name is Geigley, Jen Geigley. She's an Ohio knitter, and she comes out to the show. And she did an interesting, you know, like a really interesting take on it. I've watched other podcasts talk about it. So mine, again, talking about my experience. So I actually found this year's, because I was looking for non-superwash, and last year there was a whole section that was called farm yarn, like a farm yarn section, and I loved it. I think what's happening is that the booths are very expensive, because there's a lot of like people that came last year that weren't there this year, and we're seeing a lot of turnover. There's not like in the years before the pandemic, the 5 or so years leading up to the pandemic, you could pretty consistently count on certain vendors being there. And I mean, not that the booths were less expensive then, but maybe it was a way, like people had to pivot their business models and change to new business models during the pandemic. So I think that pivoting, like they don't see a reason of going back, is my guess. I'm guessing, like I don't know. I haven't talked to any business people about it. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's like a factor. And also, like, it's expensive to get a booth in that show. We ran into a viewer. I ran into a viewer with Lorian, she watches Lorian's channel too. And she was telling us it's a union building. So that means like they have to use union, and I'm pro-union, so I was like, oh, that's good. But it does raise the price. Like, so unions will set a threshold for what folks can be paid. So it's good. So not to bash the union at all, but that does mean that it's a set price that Vogue can't haggle, which is good, because that means people are getting paid a fair wage, and they're getting paid overtime when they deserve it. So all good there, no complaints. But I guess it does change the marketplace. And what I noticed this time, it seemed like a little, around half, maybe slightly less than half, like 40% of the booths were weird knitting adjacent stuff. It wasn't yarn or yarn or supplies for knitters. It was like knitting, like finished sweaters. I don't know. Also, there was a lot of booths that were superwash, indie dyed, which awesome. I wasn't in the market for that. I was looking for non-superwash. So there's very few non-superwash. The non-superwash was mostly cashmere or alpaca blends. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but not what I was looking for. So I came home empty-handed. I did not end up getting my the peachy color. I just needed one skein of fingering weight yarn for this future project. I did come home with some stitch markers from Cat Crinkles. Cat Trinkles. She was there and had her usual corner spot. I went to purchase some stitch markers, and one of my friends grabbed them from me and paid for them. So I actually didn't buy these myself. And I had purchased them with the idea of splitting them with everyone, but I ended up coming home with them because I got completely caught up in conversation and forgot that that was something I should do. I did meet someone fun though. I went to the Clean Cashmere booth, and she shared this lookbook with me and Lorian. I didn't end up buying any of the cashmere because I just wasn't in the market, but I was happy to get the get the brochure so I remember the cashmere goats. What was fun for me about this is that the farm is outside of Cooperstown, New York, which was where my parents lived since 1982. They moved there in 1982 and lived there until they died. So that was really fun, like to be able to talk to someone. And she knew my dad, the owner of this booth. She knew my dad. She knew my father owned a store in town. She knew the store. She remembered him passing away. She remembered him. He had a stroke actually in the store when he was working, and she remembered that when that happened. So it was really interesting. It was just fun to talk to someone who knew something about people that were important to me in my life. So that was really, really cool. And I do want to think hard about a good project for her yarn, because I would love to support her, and I'd actually really love to go visit her farm should I ever find myself in that area. I don't go up there anymore because I have nothing there. There's nothing there for me anymore. So that's it's how it goes. Any other people that I met, or just looking at my cards? I think everyone else, all these other cards are yarns that Lorian brought back for me. So, I did get some cashmere. Got some cashmere fleece from Hidden Brooks Farms. This was from Rhinebeck. So interesting. So there's all these little cashmere farms that are cropping up in the US, which is fun. So this is another cashmere farm that I think is in Connecticut. I think it's in Connecticut. So I got some, I'll spin that and show it to you. I'd spun some cashmere a couple of months ago that I purchased from Maryland Sheep and Wool, and that was fun. Okay, so I got home, still needed peachy pink yarn, and I ended up buying from Simple Hill Farm. This is the colorway Rose Quartz, and I'll show you the project when I'm ready. So you'll see this in an upcoming cast on with me. This might be my next cast on, not sure. But Simple Hill Farm, her sheep are of the same lineage as Jenny's sheep of Vinegar Farms. But the difference is that Simple Hill, Jenny just sells naturally colored yarn. She doesn't dye it. But Simple Hill does natural dyeing. So these are naturally dyed using madder root. And this is the lightest pink. So this is a color that I know looks really good on me. I don't know, what do you think? This is one of my colors. Like the peachy pinks, coral colors are really, really good on me. So yeah, hopefully, I don't think it makes me look washed out. But I'm pairing this with a natural yarn. So I ended up buying, I only needed one skein, as I said, of fingering weight. These are fingering weight 50 grams each, so I needed 100 grams. So that's why I have two. And I ended up buying her natural as well to go with the project. Even though I had purchased natural from Boondoggle that Lorian brought home for me from Rhinebeck, Boondoggle Farms. She brought home enough for me. I just thought that if I'm going to use this, and there's some natural, and this is natural sheep colored, even though it has a name called, name is Magnolia Cream, I think. Yeah, I think it's Magnolia Cream, not Dream. Having trouble. Old Eyes. Undyed. This is undyed. Though, I just thought having yarn that is same weight, same spin would be better than mixing And I think her yarn's affordable. Simple Hill Farm yarn is affordable. She's a Virginia-based farm, and I met her at Maryland Sheep and Wool and fell in love. I was like, ooh, the yarn is so soft, and started to immediately scheme that taking some of the dyed yarn and combining it with Jenny's natural yarn would be a really cool project, and that's still percolating in my mind. I don't have that yarn on hand unless I end up, like, once I knit some projects, if I have some extra. So it's also, this is more pink than it's showing on screen. It's a little bit, it's looking a little washed out to me, but maybe in my editing it'll change up a little bit. I think generally speaking, like, I'm looking kind of washed out. Even this sweater, just given the light I have right now. We're having more snow. We had some snow this morning. We had a dusting, and then it got real windy, so everything just has been blowing around. And there is a third color that is the main color. These are two contrast colors in the pattern. And I'm going to be using handspun, which I'm very excited about. So yeah, those were my purchases post show. And I also purchased this really cute stitch marker set from Pearl Smith. That was also a fundraising project for the Minneapolis folks that are really fighting the fight to save our Constitution. Because there's some real serious crimes happening there against our Constitution. Like, people are losing their constitutional rights. It's really no joke, and I'm so grateful for all for the spirit of that city. And yeah, anything I can do to help to donate and support them, I've been reaching out and doing as much as possible. So it's really horrifying to watch. You feel so helpless too. So, all right. I think that's all my stuff. Hey, I'm editing. I realized that I didn't give any sort of kitchen update. I do have some footage to show you about the kitchen. So, yeah, it's gutted completely now. There was some progression of gutting. So the floor was super interesting because there were probably like 4 or 5 layers of floor. Really weird. There's two layers of wall. They've cut the opening bigger. I love it. They're working on the electric setup right now. My contractor told me to get the tile here for the floor, so that's happening next week. That'll get here like around Tuesday or Wednesday. They have to do the hi-hats in the ceiling too, so I don't know if that's happening Monday, but the hi-hats will be here Monday. And what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. They've been, doing their thing. It seems like it's moving pretty fast. I can't remember if I told you all that I want to have the bathroom done too. I need to do a little more digging about what is going on with that, because I have a feeling that I might be in the same sort of 6-month time frame that it took him to get going. So I want to make sure that he does kitchen, bathroom, either back to back, or that there's some overlapping there. So I need to check with him on that next week. But yeah, it's moving along. So I have a little bit of footage of the progression of demoing. Not of them here, but after they left, I did some footage. My cats are so funny. They like to go in that room when they're not here and sniff around and see everything that they've done. And then they also will go in there and howl and sing their songs. It's really weird. I don't know what that's about. If you know what that's about, I'd love to hear. But yeah, that's my quick kitchen update. Sorry, I totally forgot about sharing that with you in my regular recording. I hope you are well as you can be, and I hope that you are maintaining your sanity and your spirit, and keeping your spirits up, and feeling good. And I hope your knitting is bringing you joy and helping you process, and yeah, all of the things. Take care.